Yeah, we take a long time to do a lot of things.
I mean, well, we could take longer and make it better or easier, but this is
Nah.
fine. All right.
Half the magic is the audience wondering, is it going to be kind of shit this week? Is it even going to be here this week?
No. We're it's like everything else. We're back in the zone of doing things on our little whimsical schedules. But guys, welcome to Pilot On also.
Yeah, welcome to another episode of Pilot On, a podcast that piles it on if and when it feels like it, just like the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's more little dashes lately.
Yeah, we've been sprinkling it on.
Mm-hmm. It's been nice.
Intermittently.
I want to tell you guys about a little thing I got that Grace hates.
I don't hate it. I tolerate it.
Yeah, I think you're working toward hating it.
I'm confused by it, and I want it to impress me.
It didn't. So we, which I've heard you say a lot.
For them not knowing what the thing in question is, there's a lot of things. Right. Yeah, could be curious about that.
I was on Instagram like a couple weeks ago, in bed, headed to sleep, and it's doing that thing where it flips back and forth. See it?
That's just the camera.
It's just the camera viewfinder. It's not really happening. That's so cool. I just won't look at it. It won't bother me at all, and I'm going to be totally cool the whole time.
Just be present. Don't look at yourself.
No, I'm totally, just so present. But I was going through Instagram, and I saw this ad for this stuff that was like non-alcohol fancy drink liqueur called Kin, and the packaging and like the way they made it looked so amazing, and it was like, this will make you feel euphoric, it will lift your spirits, it will make you feel calm. We don't calm, and we don't recommend having more than 4 in a day for
a 24-hour period.
In a 24-hour period. So immediately, like, if there's a limit on it, I want it. and they're like, you don't get a hangover. There's no alcohol. This is what. And I was like, all right, let's try it. So
it's basically like non-alcoholic alcohol. It's supposed to make you feel like you can party and rage, but it doesn't give you a hangover and has no addictive properties that we know of. But the taste...
It's also $40.
Yeah.
Like, I think I got 2 bottles for like $50 or something.
And that's basically the same price as like a Hendrick's gin.
Yeah.
And the bottle is shaped like a Hendrick's gin bottle.
Truly, it tastes horrible.
It tastes like mud.
It's mud, rooty, disgusting, bitter.
It's like if you took rainwater that was in a puddle on the side of a road, and you strained it and you put it in the refrigerator and made it cold, and then you put it in a glass with ice and you drank it, that would be what you're experiencing currently in this moment.
You took all that out and you left it on the glass next to your end table, and you slept overnight, and then like how water tastes terrible the next day. It's like that.
Like if you put wet, dirty socks in your mouth. You know it. I know the crazy thing. Also, we've talked about this before. You might have never done that, but you know exactly what that tastes like.
You know what it is. It's like that. What is that thing that Tyler and Corey?
That Corey said. It's like, you know exactly what it would feel like to lick that thing, even if you've never licked it. That you can just look at anything in the room and lick it, or imagine licking it, and you know exactly what it would taste like.
That's one of those. That blew my mind, and still blows my mind.
However, so this thing, basically, this Kin non-alcoholic euphoric beverage is supposed to be mixed with other things.
It has to be.
Like a cocktail to make it better. And so to be fair, we have not done that yet. I want to try they have a bunch of recipes on their website, and I'm not shitting on this drink. It just has a very aggressively earthy taste.
It tastes horrible, but here's the weird part.
I'm trying but also so did coffee the first time I had it, so did beer the first time I had it.
That's how they get you.
And so and then that thing in my head goes, I can conquer this.
Yes.
I can teach myself to like this.
It goes, you go.
Like you with reality television.
Much like that, which we'll get to that in a little bit. But it's that thing where you go, I am making a sacrifice when I drink this because it doesn't taste good, so I could never possibly get addicted to it. The only difference is this doesn't have any addictive properties. It just tastes bad, which is kind of, reminiscent of alcohol.
But then also for people like us, we go, you don't think you have any addictive properties? You just fucking wait. We're going to find out for you. We're going to be the ones that break all all of your trial studies.
We're going to make you a problem for us.
We're going to make you have to put finer print on your product.
Which is exactly what we did. So I opened this stupid thing. It's packaged so wonderfully.
It's beautiful.
It's packaged like a millennial dream. Like, it's just so all hip and,
it's in this beautiful yellow box. Case. It looks like, what's that stuff?
Well,
La Catane or whatever. That like foil wrapped.
This is it.
Yeah.
But this isn't the case that it comes in.
No.
And it says euphorics for humankind. Yeah. And oh God. And it's got neurotropics. Anyway, bottom line is it did kind of like make us feel a little crazy.
A little wacky, but you're wonky. Also like I was very aware. I was hyper vigilant of my feelings, so I was probably, creating them a little bit. However, there is caffeine in here, and then there's a bunch of stuff that ends with like erosine, which I imagine is also in like Red Bull and things like that. But it I really want to figure out how to enjoy this.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is like that cool person at the party that doesn't talk to anyone, but you can tell they're so cool, and you want to figure out how you get that person to like you because they just seem like they could give a shit about you. Like, this thing could give a shit about it tasting great directly out of the package. No, it's asking you to figure out how to make it great.
Yeah, it's kind of like the goal of it is to make you feel a certain way. But I will say it did make me. They delivered on what they said the feelings would be in terms of like it was relaxing after a second, and it was kind of like, oh, it makes you a little.
What did you
happier.
Put in this one?
Just club soda.
Okay.
Isn't that terrible? Right.
But it did.
Welcome, CDC.
I know. But this did have more orange hints in it than it did to me last time. So maybe it's all about like mixing it up. Who knows?
Who knows?
We tried something. You got a targeted ad, and we were targeted.
It got me. It was like, I absolutely want something that'll make me feel weird and not be alcohol.
Absolutely will continue to drink it.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish. I mean, I got 2 bottles because I was so confident that I was gonna like whatever it was. It was just a stupid move. But
no, it's fine. We have more time to figure it out. Also, you drank like 4 within like an hour period. And so I was like, I'm cutting you off from this mystery drink that I don't know what's going to happen with our bodies and our buttholes and our livers and our
you didn't
brains.
Have it good. You had
I was like, there's something goofy and witchy in this thing that's going to make us do things or think things that are going to be unsettling.
We're Republicans now.
Oh, gosh.
It worked.
Yeah.
No, this wouldn't do it. Speaking of, we watched Godfather.
Yeah,
do you want to talk about that, or you want to dive into MAFS?
No, we can talk about We've watched The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. Too Fast, Too Furious.
What did you think of those films, Grace?
They again, like this drink, they don't give a shit about where you have to be at what time because that's a 17-hour movie.
Both of them are 7.
That movie does not give a fuck about your attention span.
We were about to
That movie is going to make you watch the end of every scene where a person just walks across the pathway to a car for about 45 extra seconds. And I always think something's going to happen. That's why we're lingering on this thing. Nope. They just say, we can do whatever the fuck we want. We're the Godfather.
All right, this is the Godfather. This is the best film of all.
The Godfather. We're going to let everything breathe.
I didn't know. I saw it years and years ago, and I forgot that in the second one, there's an intermission that happens.
Straight up title screen, intermission. And I was like, how dare you? The first one was 3 hours long. So the first one, caveat.
First one made
wonderful
no pauses.
Movie. Absolutely fantastic.
Incredible.
It made in 1972.
So good.
I understand that it broke all these wonderful barriers. It was a beautifully crafted film from start to finish every way around.
I understand that. It's like the first real movie.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be doing my millennial job if I didn't shit on it a little bit.
Shit on it,
No. It's 3 hours long, and then the following night, we watched the second one.
Yeah, back to back.
Before I looked it up, I was like, this one better be shorter. Like, they got away with a 3 hour long film. And then it was like, no, this one's 3.5 hours long. But we put up a title card that says intermission about halfway through. So that affords us another 30 to 45 minutes of story.
I feel like every movie should do that.
Mm-hmm. Or every movie just has like a lower third that just says time expired 60 minutes, like when you're an hour into the movie, it just says like
an hour. They pause it for a second so you can kind of see how far along.
Yeah, that they a little like mouse comes onto the screen and then it puts up the timeline for a second so you can see how far along you are.
Thank
and
you
then it folds back down.
Still got an hour left.
Yeah,
cool.
Okay, thank you. Finally, someone. I just want to touch the mouse pad and make sure. Okay.
Well, we have to grapple at some point with the fact that our attention spans are no more. And there's no way. And the fact that back then they had an intermission, I feel like you have Quibi. Quibi came out and everybody was like, this is what people need for short form content. Didn't do well because that was the wrong solution to a problem. But the right solution is, oh boy, I've had too much kin today.
Here it comes. You guys are going to watch a side effect in real time.
I bet if I have more, it'll solve the problem. Put an intermission screen in. But anyway.
It was great. It was wonderful. But we watched it because you showed me Fear City, right? Or no?
Fear City.
Is that what it's called?
I like the Fear City.
Is that what it's called? Is it called Fear City?
Yeah, but
because I keep wanting to say Fear Street, the
Fear
teen
City.
Thriller book series.
Yeah, you just sound like you're saying like the name of a TikToker.
Fear City. Yeah, Fear City. Have you seen? Yeah. She does these crazy dances.
Fear City. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it. Yeah, the mob Netflix docuseries about the New York mob scene.
About the mafia, yeah, and it's really great. And so we were watching that. I was so into it, and I said that, you know what, it makes me want to watch The Godfather. I've never seen it.
Well, and you wouldn't believe it. I took that and ran with it all the way home, all the way to touchdown.
We started The Godfather at 10:30 at night.
Bad move.
And we started it, and you were like, we can just stop and watch the rest tomorrow.
I thought maybe we'd take an intermission.
I said, I need to know how things end. I don't like when something doesn't have an end to it.
I was really impressed because we've been doing the Lost thing, and we have no problem turning that off like 5 minutes till the ending. But this is a little different. Godfather, you do kind of feel like you have to see it through.
Yeah, it was really cool. And honestly, even though it was 3 hours long, the pacing didn't make it feel like it was that long. It really didn't.
It's a great film, but here's a fun story. So we watch The Godfather Part 1, and then we watch The Godfather Part 2, and it is the very last it's the very last shot of Godfather 2. And not to give you a spoiler, but there's a character in it named Michael Corleone, and he originally in the first one is the son of Vito Corleone, the Godfather, played by Marlon Brando. He then later is Al Pacino. He's played by Al Pacino, and then he becomes the Godfather. The second one, spoiler if you haven't seen it, that's what happens. Still watch it, it's incredible. It's the last shot of Godfather Part 2, and it's zooming up on Michael Corleone, the star of the show. And Grace says with zero irony, she goes, "Who is that?"
Well, okay.
Let me explain for context.
It was kind of a joke.
It was what? Oh, it was?
Only a little bit, but I also didn't really know at that point.
But you kind of knew.
I kind of knew.
You knew because you'd been asking who everybody was throughout the entire thing.
But the thing that I realized about this film is that modern movies do baby audiences in really making it very obvious when time changes have happened. And, like, you know, even just, like, lazy title screens of being, like, 3 months later or whatever, they aren't as direct sometimes about how many months or years have passed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's stylistic or that's just what was done in movies in the 70s or what. So you really have to, like, glean from verbal cues that, like, oh, it's been a year. Oh, it's been a couple years. Oh, because I just assume it's the next day if it fades out and fades back up.
I understand what you're saying. I'm disappointed that I really, really thought, I was really thinking about how, I thought it was very cute and adorable that you still didn't know who the main character was.
Oh, I thought it was another famous actor that was setting us up for Godfather Part 3, because at that point I was just trying to figure out why they tied up all the ends.
Yeah.
What could possibly lead to a Godfather Part 3? I was waiting for a cliffhanger to happen.
It's just him.
It's just him with a couple little, like, Sally Hansen gray streaks in his hair and sitting down. I was like, who is that?
We have to watch the third one at some point, but we decided to take a break because it was too much too soon.
So much mafia. In the span of 48 hours, we've watched collectively 3, 6.5, and then like 3 hours of the other one. We've watched almost 10 hours in 48 hours of mafia mob stuff. So, there's going to be a tiny little squirrel head in your bed when you wake up in the morning.
If it's the squirrel I'm thinking of, I hope there are some loud suckers out there. But we watched this first part of Godfather Part 2 is also, or like interspliced in it, is like a flashback scene for where Robert De Niro plays like a younger version of the Godfather, explaining the plot of the Godfather. But
I did not put two and two together.
It was crazy because we were watching like, we have nothing to really complain about because life back then was like...
Oh, it's him on Ellis Island coming to the United States and going through... And he's got measles or smallpox or something. And then I just kept thinking, yeah, I guess a child could live if they had to by themselves.
Yeah, I had the same thought. I was like, I guess you would just do that.
I guess you just kind of look for food and find a place to sleep and keep away from bad guys and like,
maybe survive. I don't know how kids work, but I feel like when I was that age, I feel like I would always imagine going out into the woods and like surviving on my own, but never imagine going into a city with other humans by myself.
Going into New York City right now as an adult, I feel like wildly incapable. So to do it as a 7-year-old boy from Italy, yeah. Great, a hero's journey, truly.
Well, listen, we've talked about The Godfather, but in a similar vein.
Also, I mean, but it is kind of bonkers, with the state of the world and everything going on, the systems against each other, etc. There's a lot of relevant social commentary going on in there, so that was interesting to see.
Check it out.
Also, you had to like kind of put me in my place to be like, you gotta stop laughing at Marlon Brando's got cotton in his mouth.
There are certain things. I'm not like a religious person, but there's sacred things in
life.
Well,
I asked, is he wearing prosthetics for his face? And you said he's got actual cotton in his mouth, which I feel like I've heard in, entertainment culture.
Facts.
Yeah, but then to think about that, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And of course, this is the time that Goose needs nothing but attention. So
it's weird. She can't handle when it looks like we're talking to someone who isn't
her
or each other. So the fact that we're like, if we do a Skype call, and
she's trying every possible thing. She literally went and just licked my ankles for a while.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
But she'll run out of ideas.
I did have to say at one point, like, because Grace is. You guys may not know this about Grace. She's an incredibly funny person, and she can get on what I like to call a roll sometimes, and it's so funny. And then sometimes
then it becomes very disrespectful because when something is silly and you know that it's not meant to be silly, it's meant to be very serious and an acting choice and was highly regarded in its time and was very, purposeful in like discovering this very devout way of doing acting. I was just like, he's playing Chubby Bunny by himself the whole time. And then, of course, I can't get it out of my head. And then when I know that I have to be serious at something that I think is very silly, then it's really difficult. So I had a hard time for about a half hour. But thank God that half hour was only, one fraction of the entire film.
You were, yeah.
I got over it. But it did take a second to get over it. And
it was the most we've fought in ages. Because at one point I had to turn back and be like, because I do like occasional, like, you're so good at like the riffing and the roasting of it. So then when it stops completely, like, I'll be like, okay, you can't make fun of this. This is one of the greatest movies. You got to really experience it. And if you make jokes the whole time, then you're not, there's a guard up and you're kind of not allowing it to work on you.
No, I allowed myself to appreciate it. And it really, he's amazing. It's incredible. And when you remember that it's in 1972, it's insane. Just the amount of group scenes like out on streets or out at parties like that, I just kept thinking about how chaotic that must have been to shoot.
Yeah.
And how I was like, that is in my mind impossible to fathom even trying to set this scene. Mm-hmm. Streets of New York.
I got a nice little
Ghost, go lay in your bed.
Bed must be over here. Probably.
I mean, she does
moved over here.
She truly does a great impression of Marlon Brando.
That's what he was.
He wanted to look like a bulldog, you said.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is very cute. Which is very, entertaining and amusing.
I love the social commentary thing you threw in there. That was really deep.
But it is.
I
mean, the mafia and how they bought out police and senators and the police against it's all.
This is happening over the past few days. We've been watching this stuff. There's like a whole thing about like the SWAT mafia in LA and how basically there is a LA mob that has been like, there's a whistleblower calling out the SWAT mafia for promoting and encouraging like violent acts because they're like old school. They love that stuff. And they also have been choosing SWAT members based on who would be allegiant to the SWAT mafia. And I'm like, that is an injustice. But there is also you can't use the word mafia and not expect me to think it's kind of cool a little bit. Like, it's awful, but there's some little crazy cool.
It's bonkers. And it's bonkers that this
mafia
movie was made 40 years ago and 50 years ago or something crazy, and this is still relevant today. Like, something's fucked up.
What I heard was that too, like, the real mafia based itself off of the Godfather series, which I don't know how true that is, because when we were watching Fear City, it seemed like maybe Fear City, it didn't seem like that. But then they are like, they had, even in the movie, did you see in the Godfather where they had like boss, underboss, captain, soldiers? Yeah, like they did the whole
I never knew
like,
the framework.
They did. Like,
I never knew the framework of the families that they have.
Crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild. So we've been learning a lot about what are they called? Something crime families.
Mafia.
Organized crime. No, organized. No, what do they call it? Illegal organized crime families or something? Because Kay. By the way, Diane freaking Keaton is in this movie. Playing Kay. That blew my mind. More than the Cotton Balls, more than Al Pacino or Marlon Brando or Robert De Niro. Friggin' Diane Keaton, top hat wearing, woman pantsuit sporting Diane Keaton is being all demure Kay, the wife married to a mafia man.
Wonderful.
Who he was gonna be different than his family, but you can't when you're here, your family.
God dang it. Yeah, that's really funny.
I just kept being like, don't you do Diane dirty. Don't you do, she's going to do First Wives Club. Isn't she a First Wives Club?
Maybe. Let's find out. Let's take it to the booth. No, you know how you, like, when you're watching a movie too and you're showing somebody what it is, you kind of like want to give them some kind of anchor that they can have as a reference point so that they can understand the significance. I was explaining who Al Pacino was. You didn't care. I couldn't really remember. I was like, Scarface? And you were like,
I've never seen Scarface.
And Marlon Brando's like kind of, it's like we're not movie buffs.
I hear of them around these movies like Godfather and Scarface that I haven't seen, but I understand with lack of context, like what they're related to.
You're like, it's in.
But Diane Keaton.
But Diane Keaton changed the game.
Diane Keaton, I couldn't even believe it. It didn't even look like her. That's why I kept being like, I need a DNA test because I don't know that she does not look like Diane Keaton.
No, it was like it's a different person.
It is.
She also had like no eyebrows, like a little
penciled in. They were of the time, but everyone was amazing in it. I thought it was just so cool. It was a really wonderful film, and that's not blowing smoke up anybody's butt.
Yeah, thanks for watching it with me. It was really nice.
Yeah.
But, oh my goodness, they're so long.
It's okay because you've had to persevere through hours and hours and hours of reality television. So the least I could do is give you 20 hours of watching mafia, mob related.
Every couple months after watching a lot of trash TV, I just need you to sit down and watch like some trilogy with me, and it'll be we'll find the perfect balance. But speaking of balancing, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I mean, talk about this stuff, or do you want to?
Sure, to balance out all of the fighting and lying, we watched a show that also is about nothing but fighting and lying. Married at First Sight Australia.
And Married at First Sight.
And Married at First Sight, the U.S. version, because they are in New Orleans. And, I forgot that I have feelings about this.
Yeah, this is more where let's follow our hearts.
So.
It's all or nothing.
It's all or nothing. It's true. So, which sounds like a Corleone, like, family tagline. Mm-hmm. But.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, Married at First Sight, the U.S. version, it got, to me, great. It's back, baby. The last season that we talked about, the reason we started this podcast, it fell a little flat, and we were just trying to hold on and give it, like this friggin' drink here, the benefit of the doubt over and over and over again. And season...
Are you okay? Have you been drinking too much canned?
I've just chugged a coffee, so I shouldn't have. But now, and I chugged a coffee, and someone whispered about Married at First Sight, and now I'll be up giving you my sermon about it for the next 6 hours. This season got amazing.
Immediately. Perfect.
All the couples seem interestingly matched. But the thing that got me this most recent episode, that was the cliffhanger from last week's episode, is that Amelia and Bennett, the two like artistic weirdos, but she also just graduated from med school. She goes to walk down the aisle, and everyone is dressed up all crazy in the audience, and she whispers to her mom, "I've met him before."
Wonderful.
We love to see it.
Welcome to TV. Let's have some TV.
And of course, the weird, wacky Wonderfuls are the ones that have met each other. I can't imagine that their social circles are that different from each other.
Venn diagram's a circle.
But they've met each other, and so it's a very, very awkward, but still incredibly endearing marriage ceremony.
It's very endearing. There's a wonderful marriage ceremony. They're both excited, and the cliffhanger, of course, in true reality television show fashion, leads you to believe that this is like a disaster, because leading up to it, it seemed like they're perfect for each other. You're like, this is crazy. If this show hadn't placed them together, they would have eventually probably been together.
Totally.
However, when the episode came back, it was revealed that it was like not that big of a deal at all. It was a very they were like, yeah, I kind of.
Oh yeah, that they met at like a party one time, but then Bennett also says he's like, we actually met twice. I'm like, has he secretly been in love with this girl in passing? And oh my God, they brought his dream girl to life for him, and now they're married. Because he said that she came to one of his band performances, but he was dating someone else at the time. But he remembers her, obviously. What?
The person at the wedding that is from the reality show that you immediately caught?
That's a whole other thing.
Where do we even be? We have to start writing stuff down.
So anyway, this couple, they seem really goofy and great and sweet, and even though they've met before, I was worried that maybe it was one of those moments where they had an awkward interaction at a party, and he held on to it like he's in love with her, and she was like, who is that freak? But it turns out that she thinks he's cute. They had a quick little conversation at a party one time that she remembers, and that's it. There's no...
Where he talked to her about credit cards.
Harmless, cute, memorable, sweet. They didn't like sleep together. They didn't like hook up with each other's friends that we know of. I mean, that's what
These
the
aren't those people.
I don't know. Doors open. The door's open. They're yes-anders. So who knows what happens there.
That's true. That's very funny.
But
they're not those people.
But also, the most interesting thing I thought too is that these weddings, most of them this season, were attended by a lot of the couple's families. Like last season, I feel like no one had any of their family really there. Or maybe it was some people here and there, but a lot of people didn't have like their parents there.
We also didn't get a good look last season because they were behind them was that beautiful stone fountain that wasn't on.
Yeah.
So we didn't really pay attention.
Last year really looked like a lot of things that they had planned, including wives, dropped out last minute, like locations, catering, things, and they just made do with it.
I'm not going to go off again. I've already done it, but I am interested. I might email the production company that does the American version and be like, are you... like you see what they're doing of the Australia version.
Oh,
you shouldn't
100%.
be allowed to get away with this. But anyway.
Okay, so on the previous episode... I don't know how. We haven't talked about this because we haven't podcast last week. Miles and Karen, this other couple, last week's episode, we found out that Karen's bridesmaid got the wrong text from presumably someone in the production department that gave the bridesmaid the name of the groom. Yeah. And so the night before the wedding, like we all would do, she Googled him, looked at his Instagram, and looked at everything, all of his stories, everything, pulls the producer into the bathroom and starts to reveal that she like looked at him, and going off of everything on social media, she wouldn't find him her type at all. She said, he seems a little emotional.
It's too emotional.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the time I was at VidCon and I had a interview for like VidCon Live the next day, and I found out they accidentally sent a document out that had all of the YouTubers lined up for the interviews. You were on it along with Hannah and Mamrie.
Okay.
But there were notes next to every YouTuber that they said that were not kind. Mine specifically said not funny.
What? Wait, what?
Did you not? Have I never told you about this?
No. Notes about what?
I knew.
Or someone was just...
Yeah, this is a crazy story. I knew the makeup artist from a different project. They sent a document that had like notes for
like
their
personal notes,
like notes about. So I could tell. I don't want to name names, but one of them is a good friend of ours. It was listed as no followers was next to it. Just little tidbits here.
Just digs at people.
Yeah, yours just said if we can get them. Like if we get lucky, maybe Grace will
because Grace doesn't know where she is at any moment.
Maybe if she, yeah, and
wow,
it was like
Did that person know that you got to see that?
Oh, they found out because I emailed them. I'm pretty open person.
Direct.
And it got back to them, and then I emailed and said in a very curt way that I would not be doing the interview, and I appreciate their considering me. But it was like, I'm trying to remember what some of the other ones were. They were
so wildly unnecessary.
Wildly unnecessary, and it was like a big to do, and people were freaking out, and there were like people reaching out to me being like, please don't make this a public thing, like we're super embarrassed and all that. And I was like, hey, you fucked this up, all right. It was crazy. And I feel
bad for that person that thinks that they should be making notes like that.
So then what I did was I took a picture of it. Well, I took the screenshot of it and I blacked out all the names except for mine, and I made it my Twitter banner for a while.
There you go. Nothing like being a passive petty pussy.
Hey, whatever. Make him feel bad. It's also just so funny.
Like, it's so stupid. But anyway, she tells the producer, like, this guy's not my type. And they're like, it's up to you, but do you think you can do this today? She does it. They seem to hit it off. They seem really sweet.
It's great. They get along immediately.
Yeah, they get along. I think she's still hesitant because he is like a sweet guy. He's very sweet. Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to be... I think they'll be interesting to watch. I hope that she's not one of those... I hope she has an open mind. Continues to have an open mind.
They're like mildly interesting.
Yeah. Then Woody and Amani, Woody and Miles are like best friends, which is interesting. I haven't seen this in a season.
They're wonderful.
Yeah, but the two guys are best friends, and they both.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They're like really close, and they both applied, and they both got chosen.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so that's really sweet. And Woody and Amani, I think they're so cute.
They're the best. They're immediate.
And her voice, for some reason, the tone of her voice is like so pleasing to me that I'm like, she's so cool. She's so sweet.
Yeah, there's like a swag. There's like a whatever the female equivalent of swag.
It's something like, oh, she's got such a cool voice.
Very grounded.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. But then the other one, Brett and Olivia. This is the one that's this guy's.
What do you think about him?
I think at first we both thought, like, is this going to be this season's Zach?
Yeah,
right? Like, is this going to be like the hot like guy that's into fitness, but like is going to be disappointed because he thinks he deserves like some Sports Illustrated like swimsuit model situation, and Olivia is actually so cool and so sweet. Like, I thought she was going to be this very like prudish cat lady, and she's just like so cute and nice and sweet. And then she like, I think he asked her like, what's her favorite musician? She said like Lil Wayne or something, some rapper. And she's like, I just went to a concert. I want to go again. And it totally caught him off guard because I think he's secretly a dork, but he tries to be really cool.
Secretly?
Well, what are your thoughts on this situation?
He's awful. He's terrible. He's bad. he's a bad. There's bads, and he's trying to be a tough guy. He's trying to be.
The bad came out a little bit at like the their bachelor and bachelorette party. So he got shit faced and started like trying to hit on the girls that showed up there.
I mean, yeah, that's besides that though, I guess. And then he's just like a generally unlikable person. But he also, I mean, I think he's doing the thing where he's
overcompensating.
You said it really great when we were watching it, is like maybe she'll be able to be like, hey, you don't got to do this whole personality thing.
Yeah,
like he's got like his version of what he thinks being a person is.
Yeah, he and his brothers have this camaraderie that they say, like you said, they want to be the Impractical Jokers.
Very Impractical Jokers, and nothing against the Impractical Jokers, but against people who aren't as good and want to be them, because there's that thing where it's like, hey, you gotta understand that he's like sarcastic, and like, you can get that. If you can understand that he's just gonna be really sarcastic, you'll get like his person. And I'm like, that's not being sarcastic. Is not a personality.
Yeah, they said the word sarcastic like 1,000 times.
You gotta learn, like, he's gonna pick at you, and we're gonna pick at each other.
If he gives you a sarcastic reply, that means he likes you.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a lot, but she's so just naturally cool that I hope she calms him down and is like, you don't have to like do this shtick character guy.
I hope that's best case scenario.
Yeah, I think he seems completely caught off guard at the fact that she's actually cool and she's the most normal around all the cameras, around all the family. Like, she's still interacting and still being, like, charismatic and friendly and not awkward, and it made him seem a little bit more awkward. It's interesting.
He's got, that whole thing, that guy's he's got to figure it out.
Yeah.
He's got to calm down. You can't be cool. You can't be a badass when you're inherently, I've tried it. If you're a dork on the inside, it's going to come out in some way. And you can't be super tough, but hopefully, maybe he'll.
Yeah, I hope that they're sweet. But then there's Christina and Henry, who Henry, I thought, was going to throw up from start to finish on his wedding day. Oh. That man lost every motor function he had ever developed as an adult man. He lost the ability to make eye contact with anyone, to speak in full sentences, and to breathe and walk and exist.
He forgot to breathe, but in doing it, it's like he stole our breath from us. Like he was like the vampire that takes your
energy vampire.
Yeah, and he there's this moment that it's like the end of the day, and they head back to the room. First of all, he's already been out of his mind, terrified.
Well, first of all, at the wedding reception, fucking Trishelle from MTV's Real World shows up as one of his friends.
That's what it was.
That's at the wedding reception. And this is Trishelle from MTV's Real World from like when I was in high school watching her get shit-faced in Las Vegas thinking like, is that how I should be as a woman?
Is that it?
Is that it? That seems like a lot to be it. And then she is exactly as I remember. That's the only, I don't remember this kind of stuff, but I'm like, the way her body's moving, this drunk guest reminds me of someone.
You knew it very quickly.
Who is it? And she's there shit-faced with two other girls that might have also been Real World people. They all handled themselves like they've done reality TV a lot, and so they know that they're going to add the spice to this otherwise bland reality television programming. She just comes in Trishelle hot, hammered, and like goes over to Christina, who has been pretty timid, and like you can tell she's trying to be cool, but he's giving her nothing to work with as like a counterpart in this situation. He has to like pull her away from Trishelle, who's like trying to drunkenly help her with her dress in some weird way. But Trishelle, I guess, dated him briefly. Once, and then I don't even know if they're friends, but she's there, and you could tell the producers on this show was like, she's gonna give us gold. Let's create an interview talking headspace for Trishelle, and her and her friend just sit down and they go, I don't believe in the relationship, and I'm like, oh no, this is what washed up MTV reality stars do.
I'm not afraid to say it. I think their relationship is fine, but the marriage, I think, is.
And I'll say it to her face. Like, I'll say it to her face. And they're just like sitting on chairs of like stacked up catering chairs, like in a back hallway somewhere, just sweaty and red faced. I was like, uh-oh.
But so you had that whole subplot going on. I don't know who any of those people are, and I didn't watch the Real World.
But then that's what made me think, if he has to like watch Trish, if he knows that Trishelle is at his TV wedding and that Trishelle is going to beat reality TV Trishelle at his TV wedding, I also would probably lose all of my motor functions.
His backstory is like, so he's got his friends that are reality stars, so that adds to the stress. But like very early on, he was like, I'm not a risk taker. Like,
that's his thing.
Yeah, I don't take risks. And I was like, this isn't where you start. This is not the first one. I don't know
that this should have been the one.
Work up to the marriage thing in general. Don't dive in with a reality show.
Also, you can't say that because you went on a date with MTV Real World's Trishelle one time. So you are a risk taker and you invited her to your TV wedding. I think you might have given yourself the wrong title.
No. Have you seen this man? This is the most nervous, scared person.
He's very nervous.
Guys, the end scene with them in the bedroom.
Oh my God. I forgot about how hard this was to watch.
It was like,
if I can find a little bit of it, I'm gonna insert for the people that watch this on YouTube a clip of it.
I was older when it was done, like, and my spirit was older, and it was truly one of the longest scenes I've ever seen. But because there's this lingering shot where they're crawling into bed, and like you assume there's cameras in the room,
and all they want is for them to like say goodnight to each other, and for him to help her like unbutton her dress, and then they'd be like, "What did you think of today?" And that was it.
He malfunctioned. I wanted to be like, we need to get this man to a hospital. He needs help. He needs a blanket, and he needs it wrapped around him, and he needs to sit on the back of an ambulance that's on, and give him a hot cup of tea. He was like grabbing at these rose petals and just like.
He didn't. He his ability to be in front of a camera had expired hours ago, and he's too nice to say like I'm done filming like a Brendan would do.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm just gonna do this until they tell me I'm done.
He also was freaking out about sleeping in the same bed. Like he really didn't want to do that. And he was sort of like not knowing how to say it, and just got he just got really, really silent and really like just sat like at that point I was like, I don't know, man, like maybe cut the cord on this, like get out of this, like this doesn't seem.
I just
like
also wanted a producer to like sweep in and be like, we got it, we're fine, Henry, you know what, you take a break, but like put your camera down but secretly have it still filming so that when he's, because I feel like he was just like off the camera, like I feel like
that's nervous on a level that's like there's nervous, and then there's like it seemed to border on panic attacks.
Yeah, I think he was having or suppressing a panic attack for the majority of the day, which is the reality of this show, at least in the U.S. version, is that they're getting real people, so it is a total, chance as to how they're going to be as soon as they realize they're going to have to live on camera for a lot of it, and so that. The Australian one does feel different in that they're casting people that are experienced in this way. So I think that, fortunately or not, he clearly is a real person signing up for a reality television show.
Mm-hmm. He's whatever the reasons that he's there for are. I don't know that they're necessary. They might be the right reasons, but he shouldn't be that. He shouldn't do it.
But I did think, because I thought Christina was going to be super like high maintenance, and she was the one kind of shutting down the cameras after the producers were like, "Can we get another video diary?" And she's like, "No, I'm gonna do it. Fine, I'll do it right here. I just want to get this done." Like she is a little bit more forthright, so I'm hoping maybe she can make him feel more comfortable. Because that beginning of them getting to the altar together, they didn't even introduce themselves to each other. That's how nervous they both were.
But she had to tell him to tell her that she was pretty.
Oh, it's a whole lot of a lot.
Hours later.
I think he just had a full panic attack for like the 16-hour day that they were filming.
At one point, after he asked her what she did for a living, he went like this. He goes, okay, what else? Like that, he ran out of questions to ask his new bride.
I think he was just panicking.
She also helped him out a lot and was very protective and nice. And it's like, that's nice. That's like, you may not be marrying this person forever, but you can look out for a buddy that you're gonna have to film a bunch of stuff with, and like be like, hey, it's okay.
And I think she obviously hoped that she would have a more outgoing person to be paired up with, but I hope that she doesn't resent him for not being that way. Who knows? Maybe. I'm curious to watch. I bought my ticket for this ride, and I'm ready to see it to the end. Did we do it?
I think we did. I mean,
let us know if you guys have watched The Godfather or Married at First Sight and what you thought about it, and what we should continue to watch. Only those two things.
And I have not seen number 3, so no spoilers.
Yeah.
I'm not watching it.
Oh, yeah, you haven't seen the third one, so. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of Pile It On. You can follow us on youtube.com/Grace Helbig and youtube.com/Elliott Morgan. Elliott Morgan, or at The Valley Folk, and
Spotify and iTunes.
That's it.
That was really good, babe.
Thanks. Bye.